Cardi B just sold out an entire denim line in less than 24 hours, and the loudest voices trying to cancel her this week are the exact reason the registers will not stop ringing. Listen to me, because what is happening around this Old Navy campaign is not really about jeans. It is about a certified superstar cashing one of the smartest checks of her career, while the same critic who already got publicly dragged by Cardi B once is now marching straight back into the fire for round two. And baby, this time the streets are not just watching. This time, the streets are warning. So let me walk you through every single layer of this beautiful mess, because by the end of this you are going to understand why the outrage is actually a commercial, why the hater economy just made a rich woman richer, and why one particular troll might want to log off before history repeats itself in the worst way possible. Now here's the setup. Cardi B just fronted the fall denim campaign for Old Navy. And this is not some little quiet sponsorship where she posts one picture and collects a bag in silence. No, this is a full takeover. We are talking television commercials, giant promotional rollouts, a cinematic campaign with a whole cast of models and internet personalities standing next to her, and denim that was specifically cut with curves in mind. The entire pitch was built around one idea: jeans that actually fit women with hips, thighs, and backsides at prices regular people can actually afford. And let me be fair for a second, because on paper that sounds like a win for everybody involved. Here is a woman from the Bronx who grew up shopping at that very store, now standing in front of America saying, "I used to struggle to find denim that fit my body, and now I am the face of the fit." That is a full circle moment. That is the kind of brand story marketing executives dream about at night. But the internet does not do fairy tales. The internet does autopsies. And within hours of that campaign dropping, the timeline split clean in half like a pair of cheap seams. And understand the timing here, because the timing is not an accident. This campaign landed at the exact moment the entire fashion conversation had already turned toward fit, curves, and who gets left out of the dressing room. Affordable denim is the most competitive shelf in retail right now, with every chain fighting over the same customer, the woman who wants to look expensive without paying expensive. So the brand did not just buy a famous face. It bought the one face guaranteed to dominate that conversation for a full week, whether the conversation was compliments or complaints. That is not luck. That is procurement. Somebody in that marketing department knew exactly what kind of weather comes attached to Cardi B, and they ordered it on purpose. On one side, you had the fans sprinting to the website. And I do mean sprinting, because multiple sizes of the exact denim she wore in that campaign vanished almost immediately. We are talking sold out in under 24 hours fast. Restock alerts flying, try-on hauls stacking up on every app by the thousands, comment sections full of women begging customer service to bring back their size. Whatever you think about the woman, understand that her ability to move product is not normal. There are celebrities who get brand deals, and then there is this woman who gets brand deals and turns a $22 pair of jeans into something people are treating like a limited sneaker drop. Industry watchers were literally writing that she made a budget retailer look like a luxury release. That is not an endorsement deal. That is a cheat code. And here is the part nobody in the outrage corner wants to admit. Every single one of those sales happened while the hate videos were still uploading. The criticism did not slow the machine down by even 1 minute. If anything, it hit the gas. And let me add some context here that makes the backlash even more absurd. This campaign did not come out of nowhere. The retailer has been running its celebrity denim series all year, and Cardi B is following names like Paris Hilton, who fronted the summer installment without a fraction of this noise. Nobody asked Paris Hilton to prove she personally wears mall denim on her days off. Nobody demanded a background check on her jeans. But the minute this particular woman steps into the frame, suddenly everybody is a fashion critic, a fit model, and a forensic accountant all at once. Make of that what you will, but the pattern is old and it is tired. Certain women are allowed to cash checks quietly, and certain women have to justify every dollar out loud. And here is the beautiful irony. The same critics screaming that the partnership is inauthentic are the reason the partnership is dominating every feed. They are not exposing a mismatch. They are performing in the commercial they claim to hate. The star of that ad understood it before the first frame even aired, and judging by the sellout, she understood it better than anybody. Now on the other side of that timeline, you had the critics, and baby, they came in swinging. And the criticism was not random at all. It came in 3 very specific flavors, and I need you to keep them separate in your mind, because everything that happens later in this story depends on you understanding exactly who is mad about what. Flavor number 1, the authenticity complaint. And this was the fans, and I want to be crystal clear. This was coming from people who actually love her. Self-described Cardi B supporters got on camera and said, "Hold on, what exactly is she wearing in this commercial?" because that is not her. The styling put her in wide, flared denim and buttoned-up country-adjacent looks. And the fans who have studied every outfit this woman has worn for a decade said, absolutely not. One fan put it plainly, if they had dressed Cardi B in sweats, in something affordable and cozy, the people would have believed it instantly, because everybody knows she will sit in her house in comfortable clothes and tell you all about it on live. That tracks. That is the Cardi B the fanbase actually knows. But polished retro flares and a squeaky clean family retail aesthetic? The diehard fans called it costume work. They said it looked like the brand dressed her up as a character instead of letting Cardi B be Cardi B. And when your entire selling point is authenticity, when the whole reason you hire a personality this unfiltered is that nobody on this planet is more real, turning her into something unrecognizable is not just a styling miss. It is a strategy failure. That is what the fans were saying. Not even with hate. With genuine confusion. One of them said it best. We know what she wears. We watch her every single day. And that right there is a costume. When your own supporters are the ones fact-checking the ad has a problem. Flavor number 2. The fit complaint. And this one has real substance to it. So do not let the mess distract you from the actual point. A lot of women looked at that campaign and said, okay, but just because those jeans are poured onto Cardi B does not mean they are going to do anything for me. And honestly, there is a legitimate conversation buried in there. Women with certain body types have been complaining about gaping waistbands, tight hips, and bad proportions in mainstream denim for years. Plenty of women pointed out that this particular brand's jeans have never contoured correctly for curvier bodies, leaving that gap in the back, squeezing in the wrong places, giving no room where room is actually needed. So when the campaign promised denim engineered for curves, a whole lot of women said, we will believe it when we try it, because we have heard this song before. And then, of course, it got messy, because people started pointing at Cardi B herself and saying her figure is surgically sculpted, so using her body as the proof that these jeans fit real curves is false advertising. Just because it sits right on her does not mean it is going to sit right on everybody else. That was the argument. It is a fair question wrapped in a very unfair delivery. And you already know which part of that sentence the internet chose to run with. And this is where I need to pause, because if you think the fit debate is the story, you are not paying attention. The fit debate is the cover. The real story is what happens when a fair question gets hijacked by somebody with a personal score to settle. Because flavor number 3 is where this story stops being about denim at all. Flavor number 3 is personal. Because then Samyra entered the chat. If you do not know that name, let me bring you up to speed, because you cannot understand what is happening right now without understanding what already happened. Samyra is a creator who built a platform around plus-size advocacy, and somewhere along the way she decided that Cardi B was going to be her main character. Not long ago, the rapper made some offhand jokey comments, the kind of throwaway humor she has made about everybody including herself her entire career, and Samyra took those jokes and built an entire outrage cycle around them. Video after video, commentary on top of commentary. And it escalated to the point where the woman herself, who famously does not let things slide, actually responded. And when she responds, she does not write a notes app apology, baby. She gets on camera. And that is exactly what she did. She told the woman, in the most Cardi B way possible, to be quiet, that it was never that deep, that she jokes about everybody including herself, and that she was absolutely not about to get on her knees and apologize for a joke that was not even about this woman in the first place. She said she genuinely does not care, that people make fun of her all the time, and she lets it roll because she is content with herself, and that if you are comfortable in your own skin you stop begging strangers for validation. And that response was so thorough, so complete, so devastatingly casual, that Samyra disappeared from the conversation for a while. Word is she even had family members stepping in to shield her from the backlash. That was round 1. It did not go well for Samyra. Everybody watched it happen in real time. The whole internet saw how that movie ended. So fast forward to this week. Cardi B announces the denim campaign. And here comes Samyra again, this time with a brand new video aimed, supposedly, at the brand. But when you actually listen to what she said, the brand is barely in it. She said the quiet part loud. That Cardi B could never walk into that store and fit into a single pair of their jeans because of, and I am paraphrasing her here, the proportions that came from her cosmetic procedures. She called the commercial horrible. She mocked the styling, said the jeans were ugly, said Cardi B was dressed up like a country singer, said the whole thing was fake because the woman was just posting in a thong the week before and would never be caught in that outfit in real life. To her credit, she did soften it with one little line about how she is fat herself and does not actually care about the jokes. And she said she gets that Cardi B did it for the check. Wow, cool. But the thrust of the entire video was Cardi B's body, Cardi B's authenticity, Cardi B's motives. And the internet looked at that video and collectively said, "Ma'am, this is not about jeans. This is a sequel nobody asked for." The response was swift, and honestly, it was fascinating to watch, because the pushback was not coming from blind fan defense. It was coming from people who were actually being measured about it. One creator stitched the situation and basically said, "Samyra, just leave Cardi B alone, because we all saw what happened in part 1 of this. We watched it already. We heard it all before." And then she said the thing that should genuinely worry Samyra. Cardi B is not one of those older celebrities who ignores the noise. Cardi B will get on this app and stitch you again, and nobody wants to watch you vanish off the internet for another month while your mother has to log on and defend you. That is not stan behavior. That is a woman issuing a storm warning. She even tried to be gracious about it. She said she does not fully understand the advocacy, does not understand the anger, but that advocacy does not need to be understood by everyone, which is exactly why she minds her business, and why this was the first video she had ever made about the woman. She even gave Samyra a compliment, said part of her little diss track actually went in a little bit toward the end, gave credit where credit was due. But the verdict was the verdict. This one-sided beef is unnecessary. Everybody knows why you really went for that brand, and all you are doing is pouring fuel on a fire that already burned you once. But here is the twist that takes this whole story from drama to economics, and this is the part one need you to sit with. While the critics were busy filming their outrage, something hilarious was happening in the background. The hate was converting directly into sales. I am not being poetic. One fan said it perfectly. She said, "I am starting to think the biggest hater is secretly on Cardi B's payroll, because how do you dislike somebody so much that you hand them free promotion?" This fan straight up admitted she did not even know Cardi B had a collaboration with Old Navy until the hater said something about it. So what did she do? She went and looked at the collection, and her verdict was that the denim is cute, actually cute, and now she was going to buy herself a pair. Read that again. The attack ad became the advertisement. Every video screaming about the campaign was functionally a commercial for the campaign. The outrage machine was doing the marketing department's job for free, and the marketing department could not have bought placement that effective if they tried. And this fan did not stop there. She said something that should be studied, because it exposes the whole psychology. She said there is no universe where she dislikes somebody and keeps speaking on everything they do. When she truly does not rock with a person, she has no words, no thoughts, no feelings about them. She is certainly not about to hand them a bigger bag. And then she announced, with her whole chest, that everybody was about to see her on that website the same day. That is not a fan. That is a customer recruited by the enemy. You could not script a better endorsement if you paid an agency 7 figures. And that right there is the engine of this entire story. The hater economy. In today's attention market, there is no difference between praise traffic and rage traffic. The algorithm does not read tone. It reads volume. Every stitch, every response video, every think piece about whether Cardi B is authentic enough or curvy enough or deserving enough is another 1,000 people typing her name and that brand into a search bar. She does not have to defend herself. The discourse defends the product. The fans fight the critics feed the fans, and at the center of the storm one woman keeps cashing checks. And this is not theory, this is arithmetic. The campaign sold out sizes in under a day during peak backlash. The backlash was the launch strategy, whether the critics like it or not, whether they know it or not. They clocked in, they worked a full shift, and they did it for free. Think about the mechanics of that for a second. Every hate click registers as engagement. Every outraged comment pushes the video into more feeds. Every response video, including the fair ones, including this one, keeps the campaign title trending for another cycle. The retailer did not have to buy a single extra impression. The discourse was the distribution. And the craziest part of all is that the critics know this. They are not naive. They have watched this exact loop play out with this same woman a dozen times. The pylon starts, the pylon trends, the pylon monetizes, and the woman at the center of it upgrades her bag. And still they post. Still they film. Still they clock in. At this point, the outrage industrial complex around her is less of a protest movement and more of an unpaid internship program with terrible benefits. And while we are being honest, let us talk about what this moment says about the audience itself, because the fans are not innocent bystanders in this economy. Every time the timeline rewards a pylon with attention, the timeline is placing an order for the next one. The reason the outrage cycle spins so reliably around Cardi B is that it has never once failed to pay the people who spin it. Hate videos about her get views. Defense videos about her get views. Even the videos about the videos get views. She is not just a celebrity at this point. She is infrastructure. Entire channels have their rent paid by her name in a title. So when you see a critic come back for round 2 after being flattened in round 1, Do not ask why they are obsessed. Ask why the numbers told them obsession was a business model. The answer is sitting in every view count, because the audience keeps showing up for it. The crowd is not watching the fight. The crowd is the fight, and Cardi B learned to sell tickets to it years ago. Now, to be balanced, because the real ones know I always keep it balanced. There was also a third camp in this conversation, and they were the most reasonable people on the timeline. One creator said it like this: more power to Cardi B, clock it. Yes, the girls are buying those jeans because she is in them, and her body is banging in them. Nobody is denying that. But those jeans are not for everybody, and that is okay. Some of us need to stick to the boyfriend cut. Some of us need the high-rise. Wear what fits you. And then she said something so real it should be framed. She said she was going to go try on a pair herself, be her own best critic, and if they do not look right, they are going right back on the shelf, because she is not wasting her money on anything no matter whose name is attached. That, right there, is the healthiest take in this entire saga. Admire the campaign, respect the hustle, but let the fitting room have the final word. That is not hate. That is just consumer sense. And notice something important. She made her entire point about the product without once attacking the woman's body, her choices, or her right to be in the commercial. That is how you critique a brand deal like an adult. Look at how each person in this saga is positioned, and the whole thing becomes even clearer. Cardi B enters the story as the one who won before the argument even started. She signed the deal, she shot the campaign, she told her story, and then she went quiet while the market validated her in under a day. That is the hero architecture here. Competence proven in public, dignity maintained by silence. The fans enter as the loyal army, defending her with the one weapon that actually counts, their wallets. The measured critics enter as the adults in the room, asking fair questions and keeping their credibility intact. And then there is Samyra, positioned by her own choices as the cautionary tale, the person who was already given the answer directly from Cardi B's mouth and came back for seconds anyway. Notice who gains ground as this story moves forward and who loses it. The campaign gains. The fans gain. Even the reasonable critics gain, because their try-on videos are racking up views off the back of the trend. The only person losing ground is the one who made it personal. That is not a coincidence. That is how the internet prices obsession. Let me put one more thing on the record, because this detail matters more than people realize. The women rushing to defend the fit conversation are not wrong to want better denim. That demand is real, it is decades old, and the industry has ignored it for most of those decades. The difference is that this campaign, whatever you think of the styling choices, is the first time a budget retailer put that demand at the center of a national ad with the biggest female rapper alive wearing the product. That is movement. Imperfect movement, maybe, but movement. And the women saying we will believe it when we try it are doing exactly what smart shoppers should do. Skepticism is healthy. What is not healthy is dressing a personal grudge up in that skepticism and hoping nobody notices the costume change. The audience noticed. The audience always notices. And one last thing about the fan who said she was going to buy a pair specifically because the hater put the campaign on her radar. People laughed at that, but she accidentally described the single most valuable consumer behavior in modern marketing: spike conversion. Every political campaign, every sneaker drop, every celebrity launch now runs on it. The person who buys something because the wrong people hate it is the most reliable customer alive, and this saga just triggered that reflex at scale. The critics did not just fail to hurt the sales. They recruited the customers. They did the targeting, the messaging, and the urgency, and they did it all while thinking they were doing damage. Meanwhile, the woman at the center of all of this has not said one single word. And honestly, that might be the most devastating detail of the whole story. Think about it. While Samyra was filming, while the critics were circling, while the fans were fighting in the comments, she stayed silent, and the sizes kept selling out. No response video. No rant. No stitches. Just silence and sales. And if you know anything about Cardi B, you know that silence is a choice, because this is the same person who will respond to a stranger at 3 in the morning if the spirit moves her. So the question everybody should be asking is not whether she has seen the videos. Of course she has. The question is whether she has decided that this particular fight is beneath the check it would interrupt. When you are sitting on a campaign that is selling out while your name trends for free, responding to a critic is not defense. It is a donation. And she does not make donations to people who come for her. She makes examples. And can we talk about the discipline for a second? Because that silence is doing more work than any rant ever could. Every day she says nothing. The story stays about the jeans. The moment she claps back, the story becomes the clap back, and the jeans become a footnote. That is the calculation. This is a woman who has been in the public mud for a decade, who has fought strangers, exes, bloggers, and entire fan armies, and she is choosing, with full knowledge and full receipts available, to sit this one out and let the register talk. That is not weakness. That is a veteran reading the field. The loudest person in the room is never the one in control. The quietest one with the sold-out product is. And let us talk about that check for a moment, because there is a bigger conversation hiding underneath all the petty. What she just pulled off is a masterclass in celebrity leverage. Think about what she actually sold. She did not sell denim. She sold her origin story. She stood there and told America she grew up in that store, that her mother bought their holiday outfits there, that she knows exactly what it feels like when nothing on the rack is built for your body. Whether every word of that is perfectly polished brand copy does not even matter, because it landed. That is the difference between a spokesperson and a salesman. A spokesperson wears the product. A salesman makes you remember who you were before you could afford better, and then hands you the better for $22. The brands know this. That is why they keep calling her. Love her or hate her, she is one of the last true monoculture celebrities. One of the only people alive who can make your mother, your little cousin, and your hairstylist all have an opinion about the same pair of jeans on the same day. In a media landscape where attention is shattered into a million pieces, that kind of reach is basically extinct. And extinct things are expensive. And here is the part that should make every critic think twice before filming part 2 of anything. This woman has now been through this exact cycle more times than we can count, and the cycle always ends the same way. Remember, this is a woman who has been counted out at every single stage of her career. They said the reality show was the ceiling. They said the first hit was a fluke. They said the marriage drama would bury her. They said the court cases would end her. They said the body talk would cancel her. And every single time, she converts the pylon into a payout. There is a graveyard full of people who went viral criticizing her and then vanished, while she kept charting, kept touring, kept signing. The trolls get a moment. She gets the money. That is the track record. That is the history. And history is the reason the streets are begging Samyra to stand down, because the last time somebody built a cottage industry out of poking this woman, she responded once and ended the entire conversation. One response. That is all it took. The woman holds the record for the shortest war in internet history. Because make no mistake about what this actually is. When a person has already been told directly, on camera, by Cardi B herself, that the jokes were not about her, that no apology is coming, that she should love herself and move on, and that person then comes back months later aiming at the same woman's body, the same woman's look, the same woman's business, while hiding behind a brand critique, that stops looking like advocacy. It starts looking like fixation. And the audience can smell the difference. That is why the comment sections were not full of people debating denim construction. They were full of people saying the same sentence over and over. We know why you really made that video. Technically, sure, she aimed at the company. But everybody knows you do not spend an entire video talking about a woman's surgical proportions if your actual issue is retail marketing. The subtext was so loud it was basically text. And the saddest part? There was a real conversation available here. Samyra actually stumbled onto legitimate criticism and then buried it under personal shots. Because the authenticity question is real. The fit question is real. Plenty of women who love Cardi B asked those exact same questions without ever mentioning her body, without ever questioning her right to collect a check, and their points landed because they were delivered in good faith. That is the difference between critique and obsession. Critique says, this campaign overpromises, and here is why. Obsession says, this woman should not exist in my feed. And here is my 4th video about it. One of those builds a platform. The other one builds a response video from Cardi B, and baby, we have all seen how that movie ends. There was a version of this week where Samyra led a genuinely useful conversation about fit standards in affordable fashion and came out looking like a voice for real women. Instead, she chose the sequel. And sequels where the villain already lost are never kind. There is also a branding lesson here that nobody in the comment sections noticed, but every strategist watching did. Notice that the campaign never responded either. No apology tour, no defensive statement, no panicked clarification about fit technology. The brand stayed exactly as quiet as its star. Because the second a corporation starts explaining itself in a comment war, it has admitted the war matters. Instead, the two most important players in this story, the artist and the retailer, formed a united front of silence and let the product do the talking. And the product talked loudly. $22 at a time, in size after size, until the shelves were empty. That is the part the critics never understand. You cannot out-argue a receipt. You cannot ratio a sold-out size run. The loudest statement in this entire saga was not made on any app. It was made at the checkout, and it was made by thousands of women who did not care about the discourse at all. Now let us zoom all the way out, because there is one more layer here that almost nobody is talking about, and it might be the most important one. This entire saga is a preview of where celebrity marketing is headed. The old model was simple. Find the star with the fewest enemies and the cleanest image, put them in a wholesome ad, and offend nobody. That model is dead. The new model is what you just watched. Find the star with the loudest enemies, put them in a slightly debatable ad, and let the internet tear itself apart while the product sells out twice. Rage is now a distribution channel. Controversy is now a media plan. And this superstar is the perfect vehicle for it precisely because half the internet cannot stand her and the other half would go to war for her. That is not a liability. In 2026, that is the entire pitch deck. Every brand watching this campaign just learned the same lesson. You do not need everybody to love your spokesperson. You need everybody to be unable to stop talking about her. By that measure, this is already the campaign of the year, and the year is not even close to over. And do not sleep on what this means for the business side, because the suits are watching this as closely as the fans are. In boardrooms this week, the lesson being circled is not about denim at all. It is about risk tolerance. For years, big family brands ran from anyone with controversy attached to their name. They wanted safe faces, clean timelines, zero drama. This campaign just proved the opposite can print money. A polarizing star with an active, argumentative audience is not a risk to be managed. It is a media budget that spends itself. Every comment war is a placement. Every think piece is a billboard. And the number that matters, the only number, is the one that came back in under 24 hours, sold out. Expect copycats. Expect every mid-price retailer in America to go hunting for their own polarizing superstar with a loud fan base and louder haters. The age of the safe ambassador is over, and the woman who buried it is currently silent, paid, and probably already on set for the next one. When the history of celebrity marketing gets written, this week is going to get its own chapter, and Cardi B is going to be the case study, not the footnote. Because that is who actually decided this story, the quiet majority. Not the critics with ring lights, not the defenders with stitched responses, but the thousands of women who watched the argument scroll past, shrugged, clicked the link, and bought the jeans. They are the real verdict in every one of these internet trials, and they never post about it. They just spend. And their spending says something the loudest voices keep refusing to hear. Most people do not experience celebrity marketing as a moral question. They experience it as a mirror. Does this person look like me? Does this price respect me? Will this thing fit my life? Cardi B answered all three of those questions for enough women to empty a size run in a day, and no amount of think piece thunder changes what an empty shelf means. The discourse gets the headlines. The customer gets the last word. So where does this go from here? Well, let me lay out the board for you, because there are really only three ways this plays. Option 1. Cardi B stays silent, the denim keeps selling, and the whole outrage cycle dies of natural causes while she deposits the check. That is the most likely outcome, and honestly, it is the smartest one. Option 2. Cardi B decides she is bored one evening and posts one story, one clip, one sentence, and instantly reminds everybody why picking fights with her is a losing strategy. And Option 3, the nuclear option. She addresses it directly, stitches the video, and turns Samyra's sequel into the most watched cancellation of the season. The fans are split on which one they want, but they are unanimous on one thing. If it comes to Option 3, Samyra is going to wish she had stayed logged off. So when you strip away the noise, the actual result of this entire controversy is a scoreboard that reads like a rout. The campaign sold out sizes in under a day. The trend cycle ran for the better part of a week on free fuel. The fan base got a win to defend, the reasonable critics got content with integrity, and the loudest critic got a warning shot from the entire internet without Cardi B spending a single second of her own time. There are losses in business, and there are lessons, and right now the only person holding a lesson is the one who came back for round 2. The denim is gone from the shelves. The check has cleared, and the timeline has already moved on to debating the restock. And one more thing before we get out of here, because this is the question that is going to matter long after the denim restocks, and long after the next campaign drops too. If the outrage actually drives the sales, and the critics know the outrage drives the sales, and they keep outraging anyway, then who is really working for who? At a certain point, the loudest hater in the room is just an unpaid intern in the marketing department. Cardi B figured that out years ago. Old Navy just figured it out this week. The only people who have not figured it out are the ones still filming. And pay attention to who is quietly collecting in the background. The brand gets the sales. She gets the fee and the crown. The fans get the vindication and the haul videos. Even the measured critics get their views. The only people walking away with nothing are the ones who mistook attention for impact. Attention without leverage is just noise you made for somebody else's benefit. That is the scoreboard. Read it twice. So now I need to hear from you. Did you manage to grab a pair before your size sold out? And if you tried them, be honest, did they actually fit the way the campaign promised? Or is the criticism about the cut valid? Do you think the styling did her dirty? Or was the polished look exactly what a family brand needed to sell? And the big one, is Samyra making a fair point about authenticity, or did this stop being about jeans a long time ago? Sound off in the comments, because I read every single one, and something tells me this story is nowhere near finished. And if you think this mess was wild, wait until you hear what the streets are saying about the next deal Cardi B's camp might be lining up, because if those rumors are even half true, the denim wars were just the warm-up. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you do not miss it when that one drops. And then check out this next video, because trust me, the tea over there is even hotter.